I care.
You care.
As the NHS, we're very good at caring for the patients in front of us, but we don't always take account of those in the family or friends or social circle of the person that we're looking after. And it's really important for that person's care, for their outcomes, for their safety sometimes, that we really do think about where does this person live, who do they live with, who helps support them, and think about that as part of our care planning. I Care, You Care is about trying to get people to just change a little bit the way that we think about delivering care for patients.
I care.
You care.
I mean, care is an interesting term. It's a term that we use as professionals, as organisations. But often we hear that for friends and family, it's not a word that means anything to them.
I don't see myself as a carer. I'm mum, doing the best I can for my kids.
That's what a carer means for me, being there for her.
I guess being a carer means that you can't just think about yourself, you have to think about who you care for.
It's about guiding, supporting and ensuring that you do the absolute best for your child as and when they need it.
To me, I'm not a carer, I'm just a mum, and Jack is who he is because we don't know no better.
Being there 24 hours, 7 days a week, for someone who'd be totally lost if I wasn't.
I care.
You care.
We know that on average it takes carers about 4 years to actually identify themselves. And we also know that caring has a huge impact on their health.
Sometimes you think you're the only person in the world.
Until you live the life we live, you don't know how hard it is. More than likely going to be looking after Megan until the day I die.
Half the time it can be stressful.
You're doing what you do and what she did as well.
I can't even go to the loo without him being there. What you're doing, where are you? And of course that wears you down. It does wear you down.
You know, I just go in the kitchen and I could scream, but then I go back in and I think, but he's my husband, even though he's stopping me doing a lot of things.
When I have my down days, I cry a lot.
The distress that you're feeling is so huge.
Don't have anybody to talk to like I used to.
There's an expectation that this role is going to be undertaken, and I think if you see a carer that's starting to struggle with the kind of burden of the role, I think, and it's kind of looking out for that and looking and seeing what happens when you maybe just talk to them again and give them something else to do. So it's kind of just having that awareness of exactly what you are asking somebody to do next.
I care.
You care.
The top 3 key characteristics people need to have in dealing with carers would be kindness,
True compassion, really, truly caring.
Their knowledge and how they use that knowledge and how they use that knowledge to help us.
Understanding, perceptive, warm, and have the imagination to understand what your life is like.
honesty.
Listen to what, even if you think we are talking nonsense.
Huge patience sometimes, and a very good ear for listening.
Sometimes things can succeed or fail depending on the success of communication.
You have to listen to the journey that they've had.
So, you know, carers are going to have some solutions that's really important that they're considered.
One of the secrets of our trade is you make it up as you go along, and you can't do that without you being highly involved and informing that process.
To be able to communicate with them and have that communication that that they can give you any feedback and any help. Otherwise you can feel alone.
Someone who understands and really listens, that really makes a difference.
And it's just communication, just really communicating well with the whole family, with the patient, making sure everybody's involved in every decision.
If you ask us, how are you, then be prepared to spend a bit of time dealing with that, because we're not okay.
Also, I've experienced where I'm trying to engage and motivate patients by telling their carers a little bit about what I'm trying to do with them, because they're more likely to listen to their carers because they've built that relationship with them over a much longer period of time.
Sometimes we need to be mindful that the terminology we use can be a barrier.
In terms of the language you use when you communicate with us, we understand possibly 90% of it.
I think so many times carers feel excluded because of the medical terminology or the clinical terminology that staff may use. So to ensure that we speak in a language that they understand and we can communicate these messages clearly.
I care.
You care.
I think no organisation would be being truthful with itself if we all agreed that we were perfect. So we always have to strive to be better.
It is sometimes the smallest things actually that are the most helpful for us.
To give us carer a break. That's why I'm at the moment. I'm just about breaking point.
The biggest issue that springs to mind is transitions from adolescent into adult, and it doesn't seem to have gone entirely smoothly for quite a few of the young people and parents that we've come across. Would you agree with that?
My biggest fear as a carer is what's going to happen if anything happens to me. That's what I'm already worried about.
The idea that either of my parents would be alone.
The children hitting adulthood and there being nothing out there.
My biggest fear now is if I find myself on my own one day, I will feel that would be a terrible fear because I'd be on my own.
My biggest fear is anything happening to me who would look after Mike.
There comes a point when obviously nothing else can be done.
Well, when I can't look after her anymore, that's my biggest fear.
My biggest fear as a carer is that there is something going on in our child's world that is going to end in a very serious outcome. And if there's something we've missed, it would be even worse if there's something we could have done.
For me, it's understanding that the organisation really care for me as a carer and that truly value my contribution that I can bring as a carer.
If there's one thing I want staff to do differently coming out of the I Care, You Care campaign, is to really think about carers' involvement, communicate with them, involve them in care planning, involve them in care delivery, and get better outcomes for patients. That's what this is all about.
I care. You care.